Hey guys, what's going on? This is Atavir here, and today we are going to look at top 5 underrated React hooks that you must use. These are very unpopular hooks and you won't see a lot of people use them, but these hooks will save you a lot of time in the future if you know them right now. So without wasting any time, let's look at them right now. First, let's take a look at the useRef hook. The useRef hooks provides us direct access to the DOM so that we can directly perform actions without dealing with React in between. Let's look at an example. This is a React app I made just now, and when we click on open model, this opens some model. The only problem here is that whenever the model opens, I want the text box to be focused automatically. The user should not be forced to press full name first. So how do we do that? We can use useRef here to focus the text box manually whenever the model loads up. So let's go back to the code and let's see what's happening here. So we have app.js, we have this button which sets the state, and when the state is true, the model will be shown. Now let's go to model.js, which is our actual model component, and here what we are going to do is we are going to first create a new ref. So we are going to do const input ref is equal to useRef, and initially it will be null. Any ref should be null initially. Now we are going to go here at the input and we are going to pass on this reference here, just like that. Now what we can do is whenever the component loads, we can achieve that by use effect. So we can perform a function whenever the component loads. We are going to use an use effect and say the input ref dot current dot focus. So the basically input ref dot current gives you access to the DOM elements and functions and properties, and you can just call functions directly from here. useRef is not something you should use if you know the React way of doing things. You should only use that when it's completely necessary. So let's look at the result. Once I go back to the page, reload just in case, and I'll just click on open model, the full name text box should be automatically focused and the user should be ready to type and submit whatever the data is there. And this is the best thing about useRef hook, you can directly access the DOM elements. Next, let's look at use layout effect. Now this hook is similar to use effect hook. There's not a lot of difference in both of them, but this hook might be useful to you in some cases. So first of all, let's see how the use effect hook works in general. So basically when your DOM is painted, this use effect hook is first run. So this console log will be executed after DOM has first painted. But the use layout effect hook doesn't care about if your DOM is painted or not and just proceeds with the execution of this code. So if you have any data fetching job and anything, something like some heavy intensive data fetching, you can just put it in use layout effect and it will start fetching it before even the DOM is painted, so that the loading inconsistencies are minimal. So let's take a look here. So naturally when we are using use layout effect, it's executed before use effect in most cases. So let's go ahead and reload this. We forgot to save the file, I guess. Yeah, let's reload this. Now we see this is use layout effect first, and then we see this is use effect. So this console log was executed before the DOM was even painted, and this was executed after the DOM was painted. So naturally use layout effect is executed before the use effect, and after that all of the dependencies you provide won't matter a lot. Both will be executed at the same time. Both are the same thing, but both of them are executed first at different times. The next hook is the use memo hook, and this hook is very useful. So here we have a counter app which looks like this, but there's a catch here, right? We just don't make something too easy. So we have an expensive function which does like a forever loop which takes a lot of time. So this adds the count. So we have this toggle, we have the state here which keeps the track of the count, and then we have buttons to change the count. So naturally when you will set the count, this will cause the component to re-render. When the component re-renders, this function will be executed, and this function is an expensive function, so this should take some time. Additionally, we have a toggle button which is initially set to false, and this button should also change the state. So when we click on the button, the component will re-render, and this will also cause this function to run again. So let's look at the example right now. So we have this app right now. We are going to click on plus. This should take some time now, and here we have one, and the expensive calculation has completed. And if we keep doing this should keep working. But the catch here is that if we turn on toggle, this will calculate the calculation again. It took some time so that we know that it's actually calculating. So what can we do other than use effect? What can we do to prevent this calculation from running if we are doing anything else than just clicking these two buttons, the plus and the minus buttons? We can use the use memo hook. So let me show you how the use memo hook works. So I'll just get rid of this. I'll use memo, and use memo should return a function which ultimately should return something. So we have expensive function, and we pass in the count, and expensive function is returning something. So yep, and then we have the count here as the dependency. So whenever the count is changed, only then this function will be run, just like use effect. But the only difference between use effect and use memo is that we get some value from use memo. Use memo returns some value. Use effect doesn't return any value. So expensive count returns some value, and we are returning back to expensive result. And this is only run when the count is changed. So let's save this. Use memo is not defined, so quickly let's import this. Perfect. I'll reload this. This should take some time. If I go ahead and click plus, this should take time because it's an expensive calculation. But now if I go ahead and click on the toggle, it should not take any time, because now it's not calculating the expensive calculation anymore, because the only dependency here is the count. So use vectors is very useful. I would highly recommend you to research on that and use it regularly in your projects. Before we move on to our next hook, make sure you click the subscribe button so that you learn new things with me every day. The next hook we are going to look at is the use callback hook. It's very similar to the use memo hook, but it's very difficult to demonstrate in the browser, so I just pulled up with the W3 Schools page here. So the problem in this app function component is that even when you press increment, the to-dos component gets re-rendered, and that's because whenever you are setting state, the entire component re-renders. That means all the functions recreate, and that's why the add to do function will get recreated, and which will change the prop here, and all of these things will get re-rendered again and again. And to prevent this, we use something called use callback hook. So you just pass the function into the use callback and just provide a dependency. Whenever you change state other than this, so basically if you press the increment button, it won't change this function, it won't recreate this function. That's because we provided that only if the to-dos change, only then this function will be recreated, and this would stop unnecessary re-rendering of the functions and the components. This hook is not used much, but it's always good to know, because sometimes it might be helping you solving performance issues on your website. The last hook we are going to see in this video is use imperative handle. We have seen in useref how useref works. It gives us access to DOM elements directly, but you can edit it. So editing means that you can expose your own functions to the ref. So for example, this is a counter component. We have all the states, we have all the buttons to increment and decrement. What if I wanted to use the increment function outside? What if I want to use this function in some other component using refs? We can do that using use imperative handle. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'll go ahead and first we need to change this function to a forward ref function. So we'll do react.forward ref, and then we will enclose this component, and now we can get props and ref here, and now we can use imperative handle. So use imperative handle, we can pass in the ref, and then we have a useref object which we can provide. Now here we can just pass in the functions we have. So we'll just say increment and decrement. These are the two functions we need to pass into the other components when the ref is accessed. So now we can just go ahead and I'll just get rid of this button just to show you. I'll just get them to app.js and I'll just paste them here. For now, this should not work. We need to go ahead and create a new ref now. So I'll say const ref is equal to useRef, and I'll call it, first it should be null as we saw initially in the video. Now we'll just go ahead and provide a ref to this counter, and we will say it should be ref. Now what we can do is whenever we click on click, what we need to do is we will say ref dot current dot increment, and now we can do almost the same here. We can just copy this, paste this, and we can change this to decrement. We will save this. We will go back here. useRef is not defined, so we will just go ahead and import it. We will save the file. Now if you click on increment, it still works. Even though it's out of the component, we are using refs to access the function inside the component, and that's the magic of use imperative handle. So this might be useful to a lot of people. This makes things a lot simpler, but I would recommend using it only if it's necessary. If you are creating a package, most of the package developers use this to expose some functions out of the component, so this might be useful to you. So that's it for this video, guys. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button to show some support. If you have any other useful hooks, or if you have any suggestions for me, you can just leave them in the comment sections and I will be happy to read them. And that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.